Oh, Wildman! Wildman!
Hola, Papi. How are you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. So many years ago, I took an environmental science class at college.
Yep.
And in this class, the professor was talking about apocalyptic scenarios constantly.
Oh, yeah. They like to do that.
Yeah, he was kind of a catastrophizer. I don't know if you would consider him to be a bleeding heart liberal, or a communist, or anti-humanity.
Or all of the above.
Or all of the above.
Yep.
But he was convinced the human species were going to go extinct by nuclear war. He was convinced the human species and he warned us the dangers of not eating organic. He warned us the dangers of plastic bottles and outgassing.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest things he warned us about was climate change, also known as global warming.
Yep. That was a big thing back then.
Yeah, he thought, obviously by 2026, it would be just doom and gloom. Bear in mind, this was back in 2006. So I would tell all my friends, tell all my family, warning them about global warming. And one person I told was you.
Oh, yeah.
And as a result, we decided to see the Al Gore movie.
Oh, you know what? I was just going to mention that. Didn't we see the Al Gore movie?
An Inconvenient Truth.
Oh, yeah.
And we sat through the Al Gore movie.
Yep.
What was your impression on it?
It was very alarming. It was very... like dooming,
It was very contrasting, to the typical superhero movies that we watch. We usually watch, movies that are, fun in nature. This was obviously much more of a snooze fest of a movie.
We also saw Captains and Kings. Remember that one?
Yeah, Gods and Generals.
Oh, Gods and Generals.
And obviously, it was an academic and political movie that very contrast to the fun and sensationalistic entertainment that we typically watch.
Yeah.
And then when the movie was over, they were doing a survey. They were handing out surveys, and they asked, you and I, where we got our news from, right?
Oh yeah. And what did we say?
We said we got our news from The Ultimate Warrior. If you don't know who The Ultimate Warrior is, he was a professional wrestler who was highly controversial, especially around that time. He would go on rants about, that were controversial about sexual orientation. He seemed like he could have potentially been a racist, and he was upsetting a lot of people, and he would rant on the internet in a very highly opinionated manner.
On any subject, too.
On the news, politics, not just about wrestling. So,
very over the top.
So, the people who were giving out the surveys were expecting, do we get our news from conservative sources? No. Do we get our news from, Democrats? No. We don't watch what the smart people watch. The joke being, smart people don't actually watch MSNBC, Fox News, and CNN. Where do we get our news from? The Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
And needless to say, when you say you get your news from The Ultimate Warrior, you automatically lose your credibility. The people handing out the survey were like, no further questions for these guys, because... basically, to call a spade, The Ultimate Warrior is like this manic, sensationalistic guy who goes on rants and isn't really all that intelligent. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And that is what it